Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now May 17th of 2023, and not only are we really preparing for the Ahsoka Tano series, a lot of fans are also getting ready for The Mandalorian Season 4 and What's Next by John, George, and Dave Filoni, as well as Tony Gilroy, by the way, who is going to get on board of the 4th season of Mando as well, to really perfect the overall direction of the Star Wars franchise on top of that. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. And without further ado, let's get right into the subject. Now, we know that Bob Iger, the Disney CEO, is focusing on Star Wars movies again. He really wants to bring Star Wars back to the theaters, back to the theater seats, and into the cinemas, to rely on repeat ticket sales and just flat-out ticket sales to gain better revenue than relying on subscriptions on a streaming service like Disney+. So this is why Bob Iger wants to make the big move again and focusing on annual Star Wars movies. However, Kathleen Kennedy is challenging that. She wants it to be every 2 to 3 years, like what George Lucas did with the prequels and the originals, so to speak. And what's interesting, though, about this is that what they have planned for D23 later this year, that's going to announce a handful of upcoming new Star Wars films. Now, with that being said, specifically, what's really intriguing about all of this is exactly what they are about to announce, what kind of plans that they have for the unannounced Star Wars movies that will range around the Old Republic era, alright? We've talked about this lightly before in the past, and exactly who's going to be involved. Now, with Disney and Lucasfilm preparing new Star Wars movie announcements to debut by the end of this year, one of the latest developments for the new Star Wars trilogy of movies centering on the Old Republic era is set to star actress Mila Kunis as one of the new villains known as Empress Valen. Now, this is a role that was approached to Mila from Lucasfilm through her agent after her agent has been trying to get her attached to the Star Wars franchise over the past couple of years. Now, Kunis is said to have fully agreed to step on board of at least the first film that will explore Valen's origin story and how she became a Sith-oriented character in her adult years, where she is fully turned to the dark side of the Force. Now, given that this film will be co-written by both John and Dave, and as well as over at Lucasfilm, and how they are trying to obtain Matt Reeves as the main writer, however, he may or may not be busy with the Batman sequel by the time they need him to actually write the story. Now, let me just say one thing about this, is that I think that Matt Reeves would probably be the best fit for really, leading the overall story as the main writer. By the way, he did The Batman, he was a part of the Planet of the Apes movies, and so you can kind of see how the theming there would go. They want to focus on a dark and gritty style of Star Wars. They really want to make it a more violent, direction for the Star Wars franchise, aiming at the hardcore fans differently this time. And I think that's a really good move and all. And the fact that they want to really kind of focus on mixing the theming of Lord of the Rings meets Star Wars, essentially. That's what they really want to embrace with the Old Republic films. Now, given that Kunis, by the way, is a very big Star Trek, Wars, and World of Warcraft fan, it only makes sense to cast somebody like her because she's a passionately driven actress that would really fulfill this role perfectly. And I've said this endlessly before in the past, that if you get a passionate actor that loves what they do and they really get into that role, it sells the role a lot better than an actor, for example, that does not believe in the role at all. It makes all the more difference, and it's definitely something that Lucasfilm should really, obtain more often. Somebody like Kunis is probably one of the best decisions that they could make, especially for a role like Valen. Now, the thing about this, too, that I think fans need to be aware of is that the Old Republic movies, they are going to be bouncing back and forth throughout time in each film. That's the overall format that they're aiming for. Moving on. Now, the story of Valen is described to be a very sinister take on the Sith, and the fans will come to find very intimidating, and Kunis has always wanted to play a villainous role in a major franchise as big as Star Wars. John and Dave are planning on 2 yellow Sith blade lightsabers as her weapons for much of the planned scenes. Now, separately from all of this, however, Dave Filoni is planning something huge for his Star Wars movie, which they are aiming to release in 2026 unless delays roll in due to the writer's strike. Filoni's plan is to create a pretty significant time jump to explore a different period in the lives of Luke, Ahsoka, Han, Leia, and others like Thrawn in Legends and Legacy characters coming to light. Now, Filoni is planning to give Luke a major role in this movie, and what he is planning to make it as a trilogy, as that's Lucasfilm's intention to do for the fans. Now, it doesn't stop there. We also know that Filoni wants to literally make this a live-action adaptation of Heir to the Empire. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, and it is something that he is embracing. He's going to take a lot of time on this. He wants to focus on Dark Jedi and Thrawn being the main villains, and to really focus on a time jump, and we're going to tap into that right now. So apart from that too, Filoni's plan is to actually explore Luke Skywalker when his Jedi Temple is near or at completion with a handful of Jedi Knights already, and he will be retconning the Jedi Knights in the Disney canon that he recruited. Now again, he plans on creating a time jump to really explore older variants of Luke, Han, Leia, Ahsoka, and other characters. Not that much older, but at a time where they are a little bit older than how they are in the Mandalorian series, as well as Return of the Jedi. That's interesting to me too. That means we could very well be getting, for example, like a 35-year-old Luke, for example, somewhere around that time frame. We could also be getting something a little bit earlier. It really is hard to say. Now, there's a lot of things coming out of this too, because the fact that they are getting Graham Hamilton back on board to work directly with Mark Hamill to really bring Luke Skywalker back in action again, and to really deliver something fantastic to the fans. You know, when you look at Heir to the Empire, you know, there's a lot of great stories to pull from that and cherry pick from, and to use it in a Star Wars movie as big as Dave Filoni's film, which, by the way, is going to be a very big deal, because Kathleen Kennedy is not going to be involved in this project, and it's all up to Dave Filoni to really kind of just showcase what he wants to actually adapt from Legends into live action. And he is all about doing that. He wants to make sure that he's going to do it flawlessly, where it's not going to come across as, you know, forced or anything like that. But the thing on top of this too is that he wants to focus on the new generation of Jedi Knights, something that we never got to see other than the corpses that are laying on the ground in front of Luke's Jedi Temple in the Last Jedi flashback scene. I don't know if you guys noticed that. That's the only time that we got to see Luke's Jedi Knights, and basically in the comics, it does explore them while they're still alive, and John and Dave are about to retcon those very given characters to different characters, so that's good news in my opinion, honestly, because it's going to fit more with the narrative of how Luke's students were in Legends in comparison to the Disney canon, which a lot of fans, by the way, weren't really all too thrilled about in the Rise of Kylo Ren comics. So overall, you know, guys, drop a comment below and, you know, let me know what you guys have to say about this whole entire plan by Disney between the movies. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.